Goodfellas is a gang/mobster movie that explains the life of Henry at a very young age, around 13 years old, when he decides to join this gang simply for money, and they also took great care of him at that time. It also explains his adulthood ages and what he does and how he comes about it. At this point of the movie, Henry is losing everything he has, and the one thing that he was coming home to isn't there. So now we see him start to basically go crazy. So let's watch this scene.
Karen. So now my plan was to stay alive long enough to sell off the dope that the cops never found and then disappear for a while until I can get things straightened out.
Karen! Where's the stuff that I left, Karen?
I flushed it down the toilet.
You what?
Right here, we see a medium shot on Henry. We can see his facial expressions and his body language towards Karen. We see that he is furious at Karen, and he wasn't ready to hear those words come out of Karen's mouth. The money that he had from those drugs was the only thing he had left, and that's what he needed to survive. But now that it's all gone, he doesn't know what to do with his life anymore. So let's continue with the scene.
What was I supposed to do? They were all over the house.
Karen, that was worth $60,000. I need that money. That's all we got.
What was I supposed to do? The
Karen!
houses they were in everything.
That's all the money that we had, Karen. I was dependent on that. Why did you do that?
I had to.
Karen, what?
They were gonna find it.
Fuck, Karen. They would have never found it.
Right here, the dialogue between these two characters, Karen and Henry, we can obviously see that they are fed up with each other. Karen was trying to do what was best for the family, while Henry was also trying to do what was best for the family, and he wanted to sell those drugs to make money so he wasn't at a dead end. But now that it's gone, he doesn't know basically how to live anymore, and we see him just get crazy and more crazy. At this point, we can also tie in repetition. They always fight every time we see them. And at one point during the movie, we see Karen hold a gun to Henry's head. Even though she doesn't pull the trigger, she didn't want to, and she learns that it was the best option not to, and that she learned to love him even more. But Henry didn't really care, and we can see right here that he doesn't care that much about Karen at the moment. So let's continue.
Did I swear to you, Henry? I swear, Henry, they would have found it. Oh, no.
Why did you do that?
Right here, and throughout this entire scene, we see realism tie a factor into here. Henry is almost on his knees, and he is screaming at Karen, and he doesn't know what to do anymore. His face is showing too many emotions for one person to handle, and Karen doesn't know what else to say. We see Henry smacking his hand on the wall because he is filled with rage on what Karen has done, even though it was something that she had to do for the family. If we are in this room right now, we would almost feel scared, and we would assume that everything we see is real. Which is why realism is a big factor here. We can feel it deep down in our hearts that Henry's going through a lot right now. Now let's continue.
Why?
Would have found it.
Why did you do that, Karen? Oh my God. Oh my God.
No! No!
Why?
Right here, and before, we get a close-up shot of how everything was going down.
No!
Right here specifically. With this close-up shot, we can't see their faces, but we can only assume the amount of heartbroken that both these individuals have. Henry is crying, Karen is crying, and they realize that this might be the end of how they live with all this fancy jewelry and the fancy house that they have. Everything's gonna come crashing down, and they're gonna have to start living like the normal American. At this point of the movie, because we're past the 2 hour mark, as a viewer, we want to see how bad something can become of someone when they are in a gang. Yeah, it's lively and happiness throughout most of it, because money can do these things. But once it's all gone, you realize that there's nothing left, and that's the worst feeling for someone to ever have. Henry never wanted to go through this, and now he's gonna have to suffer the consequences. So let's finish up this scene.
Why?
Here we see the emotions going through Kevin actually wanting to hug Karen. My bad, I said Karen earlier, but Henry, he's showing the emotions, and for the first time we can see that he actually cares about Karen. That concludes the end of this scene analysis. Thank you for watching.